throw in there. I had this idea for a while, and I think that it just said I went live, and then it turned to not be live. So let's start again because I think the computer was a little slow in bringing that up. Welcome to Rob's Rogues. This is going to seem really weird. But this is a new segment, in case you can't tell, Rob's Rogues Reading Room, until I got interrupted by the computer here, but now I can see everything is live. So I thought this was an easy way to kind of be able to talk about the topic I'm going to talk about, which if you've clicked on it, you can see what we're going to be talking about here. As you know, on the Rogue Show, we've been doing Batman Eternals, the first real comic book series that we're talking about in great lengths. But on my channel, I've kind of talked about like the Robin R.I.P., the death of Damian, and kind of going through the 5 stages of grief. And I've kind of done some Arkham City, Arkham Asylum comics, and I've been wanting to do like story arc centered comics. Maybe not do them every single month they come out, but maybe after a whole entire story arc is over, kind of do just like an overview and what I've thought about the comics. And this is something that some of the other Rogue Show hosts, we kind of talk about comics in our little chat room that we have going on, plus our action figures and things like that. So it was announced, I believe, a month ago that Teen Titans is officially ending. I know there's a lot of people that are really excited about that. As you could tell, we are looking at the Teen Titans here. We're going to look at it as a whole entire series, all 33 issues. Yes, Teen Titans did go to official 30 issues, but there are 3 annuals, so you add those together. You get obviously 33, but then it tied into other stories, so it kind of encompassed a kind of a large spectrum, and going into a Kid Flash little miniseries, which I didn't pick up any of those, but I think I might kind of try to track those down. Of course, it went into Superboy, it went into Legion's Lost, it went into the Ravengers for an issue, plus Batman with Death of Family. So we're going to kind of talk about all of that right here, and why I decided to stay on for 33 issues. The first and biggest reason, of course, if you've been watching Rob's Rogues, I don't even know my own name, Rob's Rogues long enough, you know it's all because of Tim Drake. Red Robin in the New 52, this is the only book that Tim Drake is consistently in. I think it was just a real slight to the character that they did not continue on Tim Drake's Red Robin series into the New 52. I think that would have been a perfect title, especially like over Batwing. And I'm really surprised that Batwing has stayed around as long as it has. It has gotten better with, I think Joe Fox is now actually Batwing. But I haven't been reading that for quite some time. But I still would have thought, as many Tim Drake fans as there are, he should have still received his own ongoing series, because it was still really popular in the pre-New 52 in the old continuity. But this was the only title that anybody that was a fan of Tim Drake could read in the New 52. That this is the only book that Tim Drake was in. So I waded through a lot of story arcs that just were up and down in the writing. And what's interesting about this, Scott Lobdell, if I'm doing my math right, is one of only 3 writers in the New 52 to stay on their book from issue 1 and go all the way through. Now, obviously, this title is getting canceled, so Lobdell actually didn't make it all the way through, wasn't replaced. Technically, he's going to be, because the book will be re-released under a new name, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, they're obviously still on Batman, and Jeff Johns is still on the Justice League, and then all of his other offshoots that he has. So those 3, I'm trying to rack my brain to figure out. I cannot remember the Wonder Woman creative team. I think they are still on. I believe. I might be wrong in that. But those 3 right off the top of my head, Snyder, Jeff Johns, 2 big ones, and then Scott Lobdell managed to stay on his book through his entire run until it eventually gets canceled. So I don't know if he had some deal in the works where it was like, I want to stay on, I have this story that I'd like to tell. So we'll get into all that, but first let's run down the team. This may be a good way if somebody is out there saying, Was the Teen Titans something that I should have been on? I'm a big Tim Drake fan, but I didn't hear a lot of good things about the book, so I didn't get on it. Well, I can kind of tell you a lot of that during the course of this video, and you may be able to say, whew, I dodged a bullet, or there were some good nuggets in there. So anyway, getting sidetracked, I got my little handy-dandy sheet right here to kind of hopefully keep me focused. But the team for the Teen Titans in the New 52, if you do not know, I'll run down the team members that make up the team at the very beginning, which would be in issue 1 right here. So I'll kind of hold it up. If you didn't know, this was the first image that we saw from the New 52. We have Red Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and Superboy. And this was the kind of like a red herring of like, is this going to be his costume? Of course, a lot of us know now he has like the Tron outfit, but this was the first image of Superboy that we saw in the New 52, and had his little Superman tattoo that you probably can't see, but it's right here on his arm. He didn't have that, but still. So those are the core Teen Titans that a lot of people might remember from the old continuity. That at least that, you know, we have Tim Drake, Cassie, Bart, and it's not Connor, but they're calling him Con, so close. Solstice over here in the corner, where if I can find her, there she is, was a member of the Teen Titans in the previous continuity, so they kind of brought her. There's another sort of familiar character, but she has a different power set, so that's a little different. But then we have, let's see, Bunker is a new creation for the team, and Skitter. So these were the two brand new creations. You can kind of throw Solstice in there as a new kind of tweak and creation. So all the Teen Titans were basically rethought of and reimagined, and the Teen Titans, I think, suffered, or I don't know what the best way to say it is, were kind of really retweaked for the New 52. A lot of origins are changed. Maybe their power set, how they got their powers. A lot of the Teen Titans and the New 52, that's where a big part of the changes, and it upset kind of a lot of people, and myself kind of included. But again, I was like, this is my Tim Drake book, so if I don't pick up this, I'm not going to get a chance to read Tim Drake. But maybe the reason Lobdell was on it so long is because they were like, well, there's just one guy in Ohio that is buying this Teen Titans book, so I guess we're going to keep letting Lobdell write it. I hope that wasn't the reason. But anyway, so the onset of the story is basically just the setup of the characters, and I've got my little note here. It says putting together the team. And so you have like about 6 issues of the book that is introducing each one of the characters and how the team is kind of slowly, reluctantly getting put together. And this is probably, just from reading the book, this is probably a short time after Bruce Wayne has come back from being dead, and he's been Batman for a short time in Batman Incorporated. Dick has gone back to the role of Nightwing, so Bruce Wayne is now the only Batman, and he is paired with his son. So it's kind of sort of like right around this time that Tim Drake decides he's putting together. He's still Red Robin, but we'll get into that in a little bit, is putting together the Teen Titans. Now, in the New 52, there has never been a Teen Titans that's featured Dick Grayson or Corey or Roy or Cyborg, so this is the only incarnation of Teen Titans. Again, that seems kind of stupid, but it is what it is. So the first 6 issues is basically just a jumping on point of each one of the members. Like, okay, here's Wonder Girl, here's Superboy, here's Kid Flash, here's Bunker. Bunker has a unique power set. Not only is he Mexican, but he's also gay. And his power set is kind of cool, is that he's able to build a force field to help kind of protect and do different things. But his force field is made out of bricks that kind of look like Hal Jordan's construct. So through his like telekinetic powers and just the energy of inside him can produce these like purple-ish type of brick. They're always brick constructs, but it's usually in the form of a shield or a fist or something like that to protect himself, or to maybe kind of do some hand-to-hand combat. So that's kind of cool. Then you have Skitter, that's basically an insect. that she survived some type of an explosion, and it kind of turned her into an not arachnophobia, but like she's afraid of insects. But an arachnid, that's the word I'm wanting to use. So as I'm trying to think here, that's how this first arc is set up. And what's disappointing about this very first arc, the arc is really only set up to eventually bring in the Ravengers. So we have this huge first arc, and Red Robin is going around piecing together the team and trying to save the metahumans, and Tim Drake is the only one that has no powers, much like Batman, obviously, and is finding out that there is this being called the Harvest, and the Harvest is taking all the metahumans and putting them basically into a Hunger Games type battle. So this whole first arc, Scott Lobdell really doesn't do much storytelling other than here's all the Teen Titans, and we're moving into Legion Lost so we can actually bring in the Ravengers comic that only lasts about 7 issues. So we do this huge crossover between Teen Titans, I'm looking at my list here, Teen Titans, Legion Lost, Superboy, and then once the Ravengers are established, then the Ravengers book. So that was kind of the disappointing thing about the Teen Titans at the very beginning. It was telling little snippets of a story of a brief introduction of each character to then have all these teens between Teen Titans and Legion Lost and the teens on this other world that everybody's kind of in these weird-looking Tron suits. And then it's basically kind of rip-off of the Hunger Games, where it's fight, and whoever's the last man or men or women standing gets to be this new team of Ravengers that the Harvest is putting together. So that's the first initial run of Teen Titans, and it's just disappointing at the very end. It's like, congratulations, we have a brand new New 52 title, The Ravengers. So the Teen Titans book, as you'll see as we go kind of through this list here, is going to be kind of plagued by all these different stories that they are intersecting with. That Lobdell is trying to write a story, or maybe is forced to say, hey, you're going to tell a little bit of a story, but then you're going to jump into this book, and then you're going to tie into this book. So I think as a writer that probably ends up hurting Scott at some point as he's writing. He doesn't, probably not until issue 16 or maybe even 17 does he actually really get to tell his own story and not be affected by anything else. The next arc in the story is the origin of Wonder Girl. So after we do this whole culling thing and all the Teen Titans are kind of split in different directions. Actually, I skipped one. After the culling, all the Teen Titans are kind of split in different places. And this is really the forum for Brett Booth, who is the writer, for the first part of the series to say, I follow him on Twitter, and he's a big dinosaur lover. So this was his excuse to write and draw dinosaurs. So it's Kid Flash and Solstice and Wonder Girl and Superboy basically fighting dinosaurs on this weird island. So after I found out Brett Booth is a big dinosaur fan, as much as dinosaurs are kind of cool, this entire story, these 3-issue stories, are really kind of stupid. It's just so he can draw dinosaurs. And I think Lobdell was really trying to find a way to... It's basically just 3 issues of a chase sequence until the Teen Titans can get put back together to then tell Wonder Girl's origin in the next story arc. And this is kind of where I really started to like Wonder Girl in the New 52. She has a different power set, obviously, than she did pre-continuity. That the armor that she wears is actually inside her, much like the nth metal that Hawkman would wear. Diesel would be Wonder Girl's boyfriend, and he actually had the armor, but the armor is really possessive and wanting to corrupt your mind and send you out to be a bloodthirsty killer, and it almost killed him, and Cassie sacrificed herself to save her boyfriend and end up taking the armor for herself because she feels she is the only one that can control this armor that actually kind of comes through her skin and becomes like this huge headpiece that she would wear. Most of it kind of shows through her body, but she can kind of will it into being, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not saying this is the best written stories out there, but this is kind of what was going on with the Teen Titans. One of the other things that was going on is Superboy is actually part android, or actually he's all android. So he's not the clone of like Lex Luthor and Superman's kind of DNA gelled together. He's basically would be the token cyborg. So kind of leading a life of like I'm trying to be a boy, little Pinocchio reference there, like the man and machine, but he's more machine than man. So after that, see, we're going to have a little long list here. After the Wonder Girl issue becomes an issue of the Teen Titans that a lot of people have a problem with, including yours truly right here. We get into the anniversary of the New 52, and they do a 0 year, basically, origin for a lot of the major characters. So even though Skidder and Bunker appear on this issue, this is the origin for Tim Drake in the New 52. So they take Tim Drake and make him an Olympic athlete, which is really kind of weird that he's in the public eye and he's a gymnast. He has also thinks he's figured out the identity of Batman. But little does Tim know that Bruce is sending him on a wild goose chase, that the clues that Tim thinks he's figured out to who Batman really is not in fact Batman. But Tim ends up putting his family in jeopardy, and they get put in witness protection, and Batman ends up taking him in and then eventually saying who he is. So, with his parents going into witness protection, one of the questions that gets raised out of this book, it says here in the issue that he is now Tim Drake. So that sentence has always bothered me. He is now Tim Drake, which means who was he beforehand? Is he Tim Smith? Is he Tim Jones? Is he Tom Jones? It's not unusual. Okay, I'm not even going to sing. So that had me wondering, this may not even be Tim Drake at all. This could be just the name Tim Drake by name. Now, what I would have done if I was Lobdell, have him actually be Tim Drake, which I don't think they've really mentioned that again, and I'll get that to in just a moment, that he could be Tim Drake and his parents could be put in witness protection, but have Bruce Wayne adopt him and call him Tim Wayne, like he was in the old continuity. So that would give him a little bit of headbutting to deal with Damian, as Tim and Damian kind of half wander in through the series. So the other thing that had a lot of Robin fans upset about was that Tim Drake, in honor of Jason Todd, once he is made to be Batman's partner, decides, I'm not going to wear basically the color scheme that Jason Todd did of the red and green. I'm going to be wearing my 1 year later costume, which is I guess the red and black costume that a lot of us are familiar with, that you can kind of see over here on my shoulder of the action figure right there. And he says he will be referred as Red Robin. So a lot of people get upset by saying, so great, Tim Drake was never Robin. Technically, he was just throwing the red in front of his name to kind of show honor to Jason Todd. Take that for what you will. That is what Lobdell went with. Now, the thing that has me interested, DC Comics is doing a Secret Origin series that they used to do a while ago. And Secret Origins 3 that's coming out, I believe, in 2 months, they're going to do a Secret Origins for Tim Drake again. In the New 52, it's actually Dick Grayson that figures out that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same. And the Secret Origins one that was out, I think, a month ago, they took that back away from Dick Grayson. So what I think is going to happen, Lobdell is actually writing that, so we have one more Tim Drake Red Robin to go through, written by Scott Lobdell. But what I think is going to happen in that is that they are going to re-put those things that actually make Tim Drake who he is and give that back to Tim Drake. So we'll find out again in probably 2 months whether or not Tim Drake is the one that actually figures out who Bruce Wayne is and kind of maybe retcon what's going on. So knock on the computer console here. I hope that's what's going to happen. So moving on. After the 0 issue, we move into Death of the Family. Now this one and the final issue were probably 2 of my favorite issues that Scott Lobdell wrote, because it actually focused on Tim Drake, and Tim kind of felt more like the Tim Drake a lot of us remember. It tied into Scott Snyder's Death of the Family run, but again, this is one of those that it kind of stops Scott Lobdell from telling a story as he's having to jump onto somebody else's story. And what was interesting about the death of the family, Scott Lobdell was writing 2 books for that storyline. Not only was he writing Teen Titans, but he was also writing Red Hood and the Outlaws. So he was writing Jason and Tim both at the same time in the storyline. So they had their little twists in there as well, but out of the tie-ins, I really kind of like that, probably because I'm a little bit biased being a Tim Drake fan, but I did like actually seeing Tim Drake, and we actually got to see Tim Drake's New 52 Robin costume before he had the bandolier and all that stuff. The next story arc that came after that was Trigon, and this was introducing Raven for the first time. Now, I did see in my notes, I did skip over, after the culling happened, after that very first story arc, Skitter disappeared from the Teen Titans. There was no mention of her. I think there was one line in one issue that once the team was back together, before the Zero issue and the Wonder Girl story, they made mention that Skitter never made it back from the culling, and she will make an appearance again very soon. So the Battle of Trigon, and Raven ends up showing up. Right as that was getting ready to go on is when Grant Morrison ends up killing Damian off in the New 52. So there is a brief interlude of the Requiem for Robin, where Tim Drake has his grief to deal with from the loss of Damian. So that was one single issue that actually bled into the Trigon issue. So I, again, skipped something else. There's a lot going on here because Lobdell's story just went all over the place. So going on from the Trigon series, we get into one of the basically the final arcs of the story, and that is the Kid Flash. I'm looking here at my paper. Kid Flash, Forever Evil, and the Superboy series. So the trial for Kid Flash is just getting ready to start. We find out that Kid Flash may not be exactly who he says he is. He used the name Allen because he was also a speedster like Barry Allen, and kind of made it feel like he was a relative of Barry Allen. He is actually from the future, and his name is Bar Torn, I believe is how that's pronounced. He is a criminal wanted for mass murder, and basically Bar Torn, or Bart Allen, is a revolutionary, and it would be the equivalent to, let's say, America fighting for their independence, and it went horribly wrong, and Britain ended up winning. So all those people that were trying to liberate themselves, Bart was the front headrunner because he had lost his sister to this corrupt government. His overthrow did not go so well, so therefore he is deemed as a traitor. They come back into time to try and take him. In the meantime, the crime syndicate comes in, wreaks havoc, sends the young teens into the future, right in the hands of the people wanting Bart Allen. So his trial goes on, and to make a longer story even longer, the gist of that story, Bart is sentenced for his crimes, and Solstice, in a desperate move to be with Bart Allen, whom she loves very much, ends up murdering some of the judges in the chamber, and her and Bart are sentenced to basically be running for the rest of their life on a rock island prison. So they are exiled. The Teen Titans are able to find a way to get back home after being banished. They have one last battle after the remnants of Forever Evil, which at the time of this episode that's going up right now, Forever Evil technically still has not wrapped up yet, even though some aftermath issues are already out. Again, DC Comics, gotta love them. And Skitter finally makes an appearance in the last 2 issues of Teen Titans, being issue 30 and then the annual 31 right here. And this is probably one of my other favorite issues of the series. It ends up tying all the loose ends. We end up finding out that Skitter's mother was able to get her daughter, which Skitter's mother is never really named. She almost appeared to be an Amanda Waller rip-off type character leading an organization of soldiers going around keeping an eye on the teen heroes, that was kind of mentioned in the Trigon battle. So what ends up being really kind of cool in this, it's almost kind of told from the point of view of Red Robin and Superboy. Superboy is kind of interesting in his part in the Teen Titans. During Forever Evil, an alternate universe Superboy in the time future that they were in happens to be the son of Lois Lane and Clark Kent. But this Superboy is evil and ends up killing the New 52 Superboy. This is going to make everybody's head really hurt. The New 52 Superboy, and is now kind of playing possum with the Teen Titans. He ends up getting transported back first, and I have not finished that run of Superboy yet. I only picked up the issues that were tying in with the Teen Titans. So it's, as you can tell, this has been one giant hot mess. But the final beats of the Teen Titans are that the Titans are basically going their separate ways. Wonder Girl and Raven are working together during the time jump back to our present time, as it were. Raven's has been able to sever her connection to Trigon, so she's now on her own. Even though she kind of still secretly wants to kill the Titans, and the Titans know that, she's able to suppress that urge. Superboy is off doing his own thing, trying to figure out if he's evil or good. Like I said, Kid Flash and Solstice are on their prison. Beast Boy and Bunker are in kind of like a Star Labs military installation, kind of running that, looking out for the teens. And Red Robin, according to this book, ends up going back to Batman and is partners with Batman once again. So it kind of ended with Harvest and this big, huge battle between the Teen Titans and Harvest again. So Lobdell really tried to wrap up his whole entire arc that he had. If your head is hurting after this, my head is too. This was a very... most of the time, this is a very boring read, but I stayed with it for the whole entire run because, like I said, this was my only chance to actually read Tim Drake Red Robin. Now what is currently going to happen, starting in July, the new Teen Titans is coming out, so there'll be a new Titans book. There'll be a new #1, the new Teen Titans, and it's going to be written by a brand new writing team and a brand new artist team. So they said it's going to kind of, sort of pick up here, that some of those things are kind of in canon, kind of not. We'll figure out in July. Is this a series that I would recommend to somebody? Probably not. The series was not well received, and it just baffles me that Lobdell was allowed, is probably the wrong word to say, that somebody didn't try and rein him in. I'm okay for things being new, but sometimes making everything new just for the sake of trying to make everything new really, really hurt the book. Out of 33 issues, there's probably only 4 or 5 issues that I read and said, wow, that's actually really good. The third annual is really good, and the Death of the Family stuff is really good because it ends up painting a broader scope into Scott Snyder's Death of the Family. A few other issues here or there, but it was a real hit and miss book. Having such great writing from somebody like Scott Snyder and Jeff Johns that are still on their original titles from the beginning of the New 52, and Kyle Higgins, which that's going to be the next series I'm doing because the Nightwing title is getting canceled. So anybody that's living under a rock, if you don't know this, this is the time where you plug your ears because I'm going to spoil something. Dick Grayson is leaving the persona of Nightwing and is going to be like basically a Winter Soldier, or as we said in the Rogue Show, a Summer Soldier. So he looks like a Mission Impossible type person, and Kyle Higgins is not writing the Dick Grayson character anymore. So the next arc that I'm going to be talking about on Rob's Rogues Reading Room will be the Nightwing series, and I'll do something very similar. So those 4 people managed to make it all the way to their 30th issue. 3 of the 4, being Snyder, obviously Jeff Johns, and then Kyle Higgins, had very, very strong stories and were very well received by the fans. But Teen Titans was one that people were dropping the book left and right like it was third period French. So, but I was somebody that waded through it. Like I said, this was my Tim Drake fix. And I keep hoping that maybe coming out of Batman Eternal that Tim Drake will finally get his Red Robin series back. If not, I hope the new creative team for Teen Titans really writes a well-rounded Tim Drake and kind of gives us the Tim Drake that we all love and miss over there. Like I said, this has probably been, I'm forgetting my words here, Teen Titans Annual number 3 has probably actually been my favorite. So if you haven't bought a Teen Titans book till now, everything that you missed is all in this annual. So any questions you had, well, who's this, who's that, they answer it and they cover it all here. And it ends on a really, really wonderful beat. I'm actually going to show the last page here because this was actually one of my favorite moments in the book. Is Red Robin and Batman basically flying and gliding through the city. And I'll just read this last little bit right here. This is Tim. Bruce, it's good to be back. And Batman says, I don't disagree, Tim. So it was a nice little beat, and here's the page, the final page of the Teen Titans showing all the Teen Titans that made it through 30 issues. The team that has been set in place, as I'm trying to put this back in my bag and board here, for the new Teen Titans that's coming out in July, the team that it's going to be, at least that we're told right now, is going to be Red Robin. Let me look at the book here. Red Robin, Wonder Girl, Bunker, Raven, and a green Beast Boy. In the New 52, they made Beast Boy red. He was actually in Legion's Lost. He was one of the only surviving members from the culling, and he gets pulled into the Teen Titans that way. So we did get a Beast Boy in here as well, but his part was rather small in this run of Teen Titans. So, like I said, in the new Teen Titans, Beast Boy is going to be green, but then again, that will happen in July. So I don't know if this is a series people are going to like, me just kind of talking about the series. I could do an in-depth on certain issues if people kind of wanted that. But this is basically just kind of overview and basically explaining why I went through 33 issues, plus all the tie-ins that went in with the Teen Titans. Again, it was for my love of the Tim Drake character. Even though it's not the Tim Drake that I absolutely love, it's still Tim Drake nonetheless. So if you put Tim Drake in a book, I'm going to end up buying it. So that is going to end my rambling here for Rob's Reading Room. If nobody likes this series, I don't know if I'll do another one, but my goal is to, the books that I'm reading in the New 52, I'll actually do them in the arcs that they are. So rather than do, you know, one issue and then the next month another issue, I'll wait till the whole entire story arc is over and then maybe kind of give my whole thoughts on the arc itself. Like I said, if I had to rate this whole entire series, without trying to be such a fanboy for Tim Drake and go, oh, it was a 5. That's nowhere. Out of 5, it's probably a 2 at best. At best, there were some single issues that I really, really liked, but there were some months that some of these books were really, really hard to read. I think Lobdell was basically just taking dice, throwing them on the table, and go, okay, I'll write this story. And that's kind of what it felt like. The art through the books was really, really good. They had a nice series of artists. Brett Booth was on it. Ed Benes was on it for a while, and Kenneth Rocafort did this last and final issue, and his art is absolutely fantastic. So again, like I said, if you want one single issue to pick up Teen Titans Annual number 3. It basically encapsulates the whole New 52 Teen Titans into one single book, so maybe I could have saved myself a lot of money and only bought just this one book. So I'm going to end this video right here. Thanks for watching Rob's Rogues Reading Room number 1, and the second one of this series. I'm actually going to do Nightwing once the Aftermath of Forever Evil is out, and I'll talk about Nightwing as a whole. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye.